Good afternoon. Welcome to Thinking Tuesday. If it's Tuesday at noon, it's Thinking Tuesday. So I thank you so much for joining me today. I am thinking about graduations today. Actually, I've been thinking about graduation for some time now. This is the period for graduation during this month and next month. Many will be celebrating graduations. I will be celebrating graduation with my family as well. It's time for families to gather. It's time for graduates, no matter how small, how old, from the youngest to the oldest, from pre-K, yes, to doctoral and postdoctoral degrees. There will be celebrations, and rightly so, because you've worked hard, you've come a long way. You will experience a victory as you celebrate the end of a journey. You'll be celebrating the end of struggles that you may have experienced during the different phases of your educational journey. I certainly remember mine clearly. For some, it will be the end of an academic journey. For others, it will be the beginning of another academic journey because your goals require more learning in academia. But I'm not just speaking today about graduation as a celebratory event for a moment. I'm encouraging you and those that you know and those who you will share this message with to see graduation as a sign of your growth, because that's exactly what it is. It's a sign of your growth. If you look back at where you started, if you look back at some of the feelings that you had as you faced the challenges of learning something new, changing the way you think, being challenged to think differently, you get to appreciate how much you've grown, don't you? It is a growth process because you have persevered. You have discovered things about yourself that you did not know before you began this journey, correct? Things that you might never have known had you not been in those environments. So it's a new experience, a learning experience, a challenging experience. And while we celebrate the end of a phase, we also face the beginning of a new phase, whatever that phase may be. Some will see it as the beginning of putting their new learning into action by working in a specific profession, perhaps, that they trained for. Some might see it as a stepping stone to further learning as they prepare for higher goals. So we all have different ways of experiencing this graduation. Some might see it as a thank you, God, I don't have to get up early in the morning anymore. I don't have to deal with these courses that I really didn't enjoy. I don't have to study for exams anymore. So some might see it as just that, an end to something that they really did not thoroughly or totally enjoy, or parts of it at least. They might see it as an end in and of itself with no idea about what the next step will be. So while it might be a celebratory experience for some, for others, it might be a more fearful stage as they dread a new challenge, as they see the next bar as being too high or too challenging. So it might be an end to something, but it might be opening fear about the next step. One adolescent told me recently that his family is setting him up to fail. That's how he saw this new experience of going from one school to a higher level, to a high school. He says, I know my limits and they're pushing me too hard. So it can be a scary thing. It can be a scary thing. It can be exciting, but it also can be very, very scary. I remember when I was working as a school social worker with high schoolers, that I helped many, many students to navigate through the fears of their next step. Because in college, we see also that many remain super seniors because they have no idea of what they want to do. So they don't focus on a major, they don't focus on the next step. They want to stay in the comfort of that supportive environment. So while it can be a celebration for some, it can be very fearful for others. Many ask, well, what do I do after I leave the supportive environment of the college, the guidance of my counselors? So it can be a celebratory event, which we hope it would be for all of you or all of your loved ones, but it also can be scary, and we need to help them through those moments as well. So let me get back to the essence of Thinking Tuesday, as I do every Tuesday. And you know that our slogan is your mind is a garden, your thoughts are the seeds. You can choose to grow flowers or you can choose to grow weeds. And many times you don't just choose, you just because you don't take any action, the weeds come in, the negative thoughts come in. So you are what you think you are, and your energy is going to flow where your attention goes. So if you think you can, and if you think you can't, you're correct, according to Henry Ford. So thinking still remains very, very important in how you see your graduation, how you see that next phase. You can choose the thoughts you think to help you navigate through this new phase of your life. If you feel you're a failure, only you can make that determination. But if you learn from any of those experiences that you've passed through to graduation, then you're not a failure. You use them as lessons. If you learn something from those experiences, then it's not a failure. The experiences that bring you to graduation are not just making the passing grades to tell you if you've passed the courses. That's just part of it. But a very, very important part of what brings you to graduation is how you navigated through those daunting moments, those daunting periods when you struggled to understand what was before you, when you had to climb what seemed like insurmountable hills, so to speak, that steep learning curve that sometimes was scary. What brings you to graduation are those moments when you learned how to problem solve, when you thought that you did not know it, that you couldn't get past the point, but you learned how to problem solve. That's a new skill that you learn. How you had to become humble. You became humble and acknowledged that you didn't know something and sought help from the person who knew it better than you, who knew the subject matter better than you. What brings you to graduation are those moments when you learn to prioritize those activities and sacrifice what you would have liked to do for the short-term gain and enjoyment, instead choosing to do what would take you to your ultimate goal with long-term satisfaction, long-term gains. So you learned about sacrifice. You learned about perseverance. You learned to climb what seemed like insurmountable hills and high learning curves. You know, my mentor, John Maxwell, talks about many of the laws that we encounter, that we learn as we go along our growth path. And you learn several of those laws also. that brought you to graduation. I'll just mention a few of them. The law of sacrifice. We know that there is no success without sacrifice, and that you have to give up in order to go up. And I would say, in order to grow up. So we have to sacrifice. We learn that as we look back. We also learn the law of environment, that growth thrives in conducive surroundings, that you have to put yourself in some environments where you can grow into your full potential. You have to be in the right surroundings, and you have been, and that's why you're here today. That's why you can face graduation. And then another law that's very, very important that you would have learned, that you have learned, and that you should really appreciate is that law of intentionality, that we do not grow by accident. We have to take ownership for our growth and take steps intentionally to develop a path for our personal growth. So those are some of the laws that you learn, that you should celebrate having learned, that have taken you to graduation today. So graduation is not just about, getting over the subjects and getting a good grade. Those are very, very, very good, important goals as well, and achievement. But sometimes we miss what we've learned during the journey to graduation. Those are some of the laws of growth and self-leadership that you learn along the way. So in the end, graduation is not just another step along the path. It is just another step. It is a step towards your personal growth. Each step that you make takes you forward in your personal growth journey. What have you learned about yourself, your inner resources? Because you have discovered some things about yourself. Your abilities that came into full display as you were on this academic journey. You've learned something about that too. What strengths did you draw upon despite the challenges that you faced? And what areas did you discover about yourself that you can improve on? Because we all have those. We encounter them when we meet these challenges. And what we do with them, how we face them, is also very, very important. So as we celebrate graduations at all levels during this period, don't ignore the larger graduation experience that is taking us higher, that's taking you higher, that's revealing who you are, and that is giving you a peek, just a peek, into your full potential. Take a reflective look back, see where you were, and then look forward. See where you are, and even take a more forward look. And where do you want to go? Now that you've discovered some things and you've reached some goals, what do you want to do with what you've learned? How do you want to apply it to your life? I celebrate you. I celebrate you on your achievements and those of your family members, and for allowing yourself to think more fully about what graduation truly, truly means. So I encourage you to share this message with someone who you feel could benefit from it. These Thinking Tuesday messages can be found on my YouTube channel, Thinking Tuesday, Cheryl Burton. Also, feel free to reach out to me through my website, which is drcherylburton.com, for a complimentary consultation on any of those areas that you might be seeking guidance on with about your next steps, whatever those next steps are. You'll find many of the programs and services that I offer along your personal and professional growth path. As a coach, I help people to get from where they are to where they would like to be. and for some reason they're not clear or they feel stuck. So reach out to me for a complimentary consultation around those issues. There you might also book me to speak at your events or to your organizations. I look forward, as I do every Tuesday, to seeing you next week at noon for Thinking Tuesday. So celebrate your wins, celebrate your achievements, celebrate your next steps, because you are on a journey that's going to take you far if you really begin to appreciate what you've learned, what you're learning, and keep yourself open to learning. So I celebrate you, enjoy your achievements, and I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at noon for Thinking Tuesday. Take care, and bye-bye for now.